because we've got an hour and a half. So, okay, so my name is David Oates. I'm the founder and developer of Reverse Speech. As you can tell by my accent, I live in Australia, and I come to America 2 or 3 times a year to do lectures and workshops and spread the word about my research. For the last 35 years, I have been researching a phenomenon in language that I call reverse speech. The basic theory is that language is bilevel, forwards as well as backwards. As the human brain is constructing the sounds of speech, it's putting those sounds together in such a way that we're saying 2 things at once. One forwards from the conscious and the other in reverse from the unconscious. I started my incredible journey back in 1983. I was running a halfway house for street kids. I'm a youth worker by profession. Well, I was back in those days, because I've been doing reverse speech full time ever since then. And one of the kids came into the drop-in centre, was telling me about satanic messages in rock and roll. If you play rock and roll records backwards, you could hear these hidden messages. And he gave me a tape of a sermon that some fundamentalist preacher had given, and I listened to the tape and going, oh yeah, okay, this is all rather curious. I'm a bit of a curious guy. I'm a ham radio operator, so I'm all familiar with electronics. So I went home that night, got out a tape player and ran it backwards. This was back in 83. And this is the very first backward message that I ever heard in my career. And this is right at the end of the song, A Stairway to Heaven. So here's the last stanza.
And she's buying a stairway to heaven.
Okay, I'll play this backwards, and you hear him sing a very long, drawn-out play. It goes play, backward, hear, words sung. Here we go. This is straight backwards. And we'll do it again. You all hear that? Oh, you didn't hear that? Sorry? Oh, okay. Gee, I thought that was quite clear. It says play backward, hear words sung. I'll do it again. Then we'll move on to some easier ones. You hear that? Yeah. And once more. Well, that was the very first backward message I ever heard, and I was stunned. I didn't know how it got there. The track hadn't been manipulated with. There was no deliberate manipulation. So I started looking at other songs and slowly ran my whole musical collection backwards. Here we have one on the Beatles. Actually, this one's not all that clear either. Let's do a different one. This is Britney Spears. And she says, "See me, I'm not too young." You hear that? Yeah. Classic Britney Spears. Of course, that was way back 20 years ago. And I'll just play a couple others in music, and then we'll move on to the real important part, which is reverse speech. Let's play. Here's one from Marilyn Monroe, 1955, talking about finding her perfect man.
He's worth a fancy fortune, but it's not in cash. I'm gonna file my claim.
Backwards she sings, he'll come out full of magic.
He'll
Now you heard that one, right? Yeah, that one's pretty clear. So I spent the next few months running my whole musical collection backwards and found backward messages in probably every second song I looked at. The fundamentalist Christians claimed it was all satanic. Well, that's just not so. I only found maybe a half a dozen songs that one could call devilish or satanic. Most of them were just very innocuous, normal messages, like this one I played on my lecture yesterday. I'll play it again. This is on Creedence Clearwater Revival, classic reversal. Here we go.
It was down in Louisiana, just about a mile from Texarkana, in them old cotton fields back home.
And backwards he sings, I believe in my cool woman.
I believe in my cool woman. I believe in my cool
Now you hear that one okay?
woman.
Yeah.
I believe in my cool woman.
So I was really quite intrigued by all of this. I didn't know how they were getting there. You know, I must admit that back in those days, I was a little bit scared walking to my house at night. Maybe there was demons coming out of the records or something, you know. But I spent several months running my whole musical collection backwards. I found hundreds of examples of reversal of backward messages. They weren't placed there intentionally. There was no superimposed soundtrack. And so the big mystery was, how on earth are they getting there? And I was really quite intrigued. Then a couple of years later, I found an example that changed my whole direction of research. And this was an example of Neil Armstrong walking on the moon. This is the first example I heard in human speech. So here we go.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Play it backwards, and he says, man will spacewalk.
Never let fall. Never let fall.
You hear that?
Never let fall.
Well, I was quite stunned when I heard that. Neil Armstrong walking on the moon, and he's talking about a spacewalk, which is what they're doing. And there was this direct, the thing that struck me was this direct relationship between the forwards and the reverse. And then on the same day, I found another backward message in speech, and this is on the live commentary of JFK's assassination in '63.
Just a moment, please. Something has happened in the motorcade route. Stand by, please. Parkland Hospital, there has been a shooting. Parkland Hospital has been advised to stand by for a severe gunshot wound. The president's car is now going past me. The limousine is now traveling at a very high rate of speed.
And here I heard three sentences all strung together. He shot bad, hold it, try and look up.
He shot bad, hold it, try and look up. He shot bad, hold it, try and look up.
Do you hear that one?
He shot bad, hold it, try and look up.
Well, to me, that was...
He shot bad,
sorry.
hold it, try and look up.
That was a stunning example. Three sentences strung together. Obviously what the commentator was thinking at the time, JFK's been shot, stop everything, look around, and obviously thoughts that he was aware of having at the time of speaking. So I was really quite shocked, and I didn't know how these messages were getting there. I'm going to play you a few more, a couple other ones, and then I will... I'll play you a funny one on Joe Biden. You know how Joe Biden's been accused of being touchy-feely, okay? So here he is talking about a neighbour's daughter.
They had a talented daughter.
A friend's daughter. So I've been playing this reversal for years.
And I presumptuously counted myself among them. All of a sudden found out when they had a talented daughter who was a good athlete, how ferociously supportive they became of Title IX.
And when
Not
he
a
talks
joke.
about her talented daughter, he says in reverse, the lust that I handle.
The lust that I handle. The lust that I handle.
You hear that?
The lust that I handle.
Yeah, there's Joe Biden, because he's been accused of being touchy-feely. So, and Joe Biden's a rather incongruent character. Let's play another one in while we're doing Joe Biden, and then I'll move on to other stuff. This is a funny one. He's praising the troops.
You're the most capable warriors in the history of the world. There has never, 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 never been a fighting force as capable as you are.
Listen carefully. What's he saying backwards?
Here's chicken. Here's chicken.
Yeah.
Here's chicken.
You chicken. It totally incongruent reversal. Now let me play the whole lot backwards, and you'll hear how these things occur. Your running takes backwards. You hear this monotone gibberish, and then you hear a pause, very clear phrase, another pause, then back to gibberish once again. So listen to this.
Always will pick it, so feet off and Irven, zegt, Laurel would here's chicken,
See how it just jumps up out of the gibberish there? That's what I'm looking for when I'm finding reversals. We're trying to find these very clear phrases that just jump up out of the gibberish. Here is a one from a normal everyday conversation. Here we go.
This is just one of many, many lifetimes where we are here to develop the soul, basically. And when that is achieved, the soul will ascend.
Yeah, listen carefully so you can hear what this one says.
I love you today.
I love you today. I love you today.
No one got it. Okay. I love each day. Yeah, you were close. It takes a while to develop ears, but one of the criticisms thrown at, well, there's many criticisms thrown at me and my research, but one of the criticisms are this is auto projection. We're only hearing this because you're telling me to hear it. That's just simply not the case, because I play examples in lectures many times without telling them what it says. We'll put tapes out for students for homework, and they'll come back with the same reversals. So if this was all imagination, how can different people get the same backward messages in the same transcript? So anyway, let me run this whole lot backwards, and you'll hear how I love each day jumps up out of the gibberish.
Nestle was fish, this is ma was I love each day.
Can you hear that just jumps up out of the gibberish there? And let me find another one that's very obvious like that. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play you a really clear one. This is what we call a reverse speech. Comes in many different types and categories. We have congruent reversals, where they're saying the same thing forwards as they're saying backwards. We have incongruent reversals, where they're saying the opposite forwards as what they're saying backwards. I'll play you a couple of those. They're quite funny. Here is an example of what we call a lead reversal. And by lead reversal, I mean it occurs in conversation before the topic is spoken about. So this is an Australian Aboriginal being interviewed on TV about how he found a whole extended family. You'll have to excuse the thick Aussie accent.
And I was about 30, 35 and I found out that my father was alive.
How did you find out?
It was just through word of mouth.
Okay, listen carefully. What's he saying backwards?
I am an older sister.
I am an older sister. I am an older sister.
What do you hear? Yeah, I have an older sister. Is that what you heard? Yeah, I have an older sister. Here, let me play it again for those who might have missed it. Here we go.
I am an older sister.
I am an older sister. I am an older sister.
And now look what he talks about next.
Talking a different one. The same with...
But I mean, what something was said to you, was it?
Yeah, well, I just talked to different ones about it because I was sort of trying to trace a sister, one of my sisters.
So you found out that you had sisters and brothers?
Yeah, I knew all along I had one sister. But in my search for her, I found out that there was other brothers and sisters.
So he talks about it backwards first, and then he talks about it forwards next. We call that a lead reversal. It's quite common. We see that in reverse speech on many occasions where the reversals will occur before it's been spoken forwards. Such an amazing technology like this has so many applications. I have used it in business. Would you ever like to know whether you can trust your business partner or not? Here's a man I was going to do business with in Australia.
Well, we'll negotiate that with Anchor Point when we go over there, yeah. Yes, I agree with you. I agree.
That way, if we contain sole rights to the books, they're channeled through us. Now, are Anchor Point always going to be publishing this book?
They have options on my next book.
And here he says, I'm so full of shit.
I ain't so full of shit.
I ain't so full of shit. I ain't so full of shit.
Not a man you want to trust to do business with. And let me run the whole lot backwards and you'll hear it amongst the gibberish.
En dan was de spot weg. Goed, die is wat minuten nog beginnen. I ain't so full of shit. School with the Star Wars.
You hear how that just jumps out nice and clearly? You got a nice pause before it, a nice pause after it, and this really clear melodic phrase. This is how they're occurring in language. You run any speech backwards, and every 15 or 20 seconds, these clear phrases just pop up out of the gibberish. I'm amazed that no one ever discovered this before, quite frankly. You know, when I've been doing TV interviews and radio shows, the technicians, the sound techs will sometimes tell me, well, we've heard these things when we've been curing tape up in the studio, and we just thought they were all funny, you know. And so it's been around for a while, but it took someone like me to try and work the whole thing out. So in April of '87, I wrote my theory. I woke up in the morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had 2 words in my brain, and the words were reverse speech. And I went down to my computer, which was an old Commodore 64 back in those days, and I wrote my theory. And the theory basically states that language is bi-level. As the human mind is constructing the sounds of speech, it's putting them together in such a way that we're saying 2 messages. Forward from the conscious and backwards from the unconscious. Then I added a new point to my theory a year later, after I became a father of twin daughters in July of 1987. And I had a brand new research project on my hand. Yes. Fraternal twins. Yeah, so I had a brand new research project on my hand, much to my wife's dismay, because every time, because I started taping around the house, you know, getting their goos and their cars. Found nothing for 4 months, found nothing until 4 months of age. And at 4 months of age, I found this. We run it backwards, you hear the gibberish, followed by this clear hello. You hear that there? How's that for a 4-month-old baby? I'll do it again. Isn't that amazing, eh? Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to play it again. Stop, thank you. And here's one. This one is one of my favourite reversals of all time. This one, every time I play this on a radio show, I get just amazing comments from it. This is my daughter. She's 1 year of age. She's playing in the bathtub. She's trying to pick up a cup. She can't pick it up, so she reaches out to me for help.
What?
Backwards she says, David, help me. You hear that there? Oh, the me, she goes, me, David, help me. Huh? Me. I'm David. Oh, yeah, that's my kids. Yeah, of course they're a lot older now. I'm a grandfather now. Hear the long me drawn out. So I wrote a theory. So I added a new point to my theory a year later, that the language development in children begins in reverse before it does forwards. Children are first speaking backwards before forward speech begins. Now that's not out of keeping with a lot of theories of child development anyway. A lot of child psychologists say a lot of cognitive functions develop in reverse. Children will sometimes crawl backwards or write backwards. And here we have a great example. This is a little 3-year-old girl playing with some ducks.
Feed the ducks.
No, I'm not going to feed the ducks.
Feed the bugs.
Yeah, feed the bugs.
And she says, just love to be a friend.
Just love to be a friend. Just love to be a friend.
You like that?
Just love to be a friend.
And let me play you a really pointed example. This was a woman who contacted me 10 years ago. And she's got a handicapped child who has been nonverbal since birth. The child was 13 years old. She sent me a tape. And this is one section of this tape forwards. That's a bit loud, actually. Let me see if I can drop the volume on that. And backwards she says, Mummy, love you. Oh, sorry. Okay, here we go. Mummy, love you. Did you hear that? I'll do it again. Mummy. Well, I played this to the woman and she had tears in her eyes. First time she'd ever heard her daughter talk. And she says, Mummy, love you, you know. The applications that reverse speech has in working with children and child development and, trauma that children have suffered from, reverse speech will tell us all of that, exactly what the problem is and many times how to fix it. But I'll get into that as this lecture continues. And for those who came to my lecture yesterday, as you can see, I'm playing a whole lot of different examples to keep you all happy. Here's a great one. I love this one. This is an 8-year-old girl, and she's telling us about the subjects at school she's good at. And she's about to tell us a subject she's not good at, but she has a slip of the tongue and changes her mind. And where she has that slip of the tongue is where the reversal occurs. So listen to this.
I'm quite a good girl, and I'm quite good at maths and English, but not.
Here where she says, but I'm not, about to tell us what she's not good at.
English, but not. And English, but not.
And then she keeps on talking.
And science, but I don't know anything else.
And where she has that slip of the tongue. What am I doing this? I got a mouse. Here. You tell me what she's saying.
I'm not telling.
What do you hear? Yeah, exactly right. I'm not telling. Well, I hope by now the argument of projection has been thrown out the window, because a lot of these you've heard without me telling you what they say. The other criticism thrown at me is that it is all a coincidence of sound, if you take any section of speech and run it backwards, you're bound to find something intelligent every now and then. The trouble with that argument is that we find something intelligent more than every now and then. They're happening every 10 or 15 seconds of speech in grammatically correct sentences that are related directly to the forward dialogue. How that can be a coincidence is totally beyond me. Here, let me play you. Here's a funny one. Here, we'll throw a funny one at you. This is George Bush talking about looking forward to working with the Congress.
There's time to get all this done, and we look forward to working with the members of Congress to get it done. I'll answer a couple of questions, starting with Fournier of the AP.
Here he says, choke the fuckers now.
Choke the fuckers now. Choke the fuckers now. Choke the fuckers now. There's time.
So I guess he had trouble working with the members of the Senate, didn't he? Here's Bob Dole, retired senator, resigning from the Senate.
You do not lay claim to the office you hold. It lays claim to you. Your obligation is to bring to it the gifts you can of labor and honesty, and then to depart with grace.
Okay, what's he saying backwards?
It's an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor.
It's an honor. Yeah, exactly right. It's an honor to serve for the Senate. Okay. Here's a woman talking about her love life.
Like when I met Michael, I was immediately attracted to him, and I wanted him, and I still want him, not as strongly, and I won't go there over to his house or anything. I know how bad it is, but there's this pull for the bad guys.
Okay, so listen carefully. What's she saying backwards?
I want him in.
I want him in. I want him in.
You got it. I want a man. You got it. All right, and let's run the whole lot backwards.
You
hear how that just jumps up out of the gibberish there? You get the gibberish, and I want a man, then back to gibberish once again. And I can't emphasize strongly enough that these things are happening every 10 or 15 seconds of speech. It is what we are thinking and feeling at a unconscious and spiritual level. We'll get down into the unconscious and spiritual stuff very, very soon. I'm still covering surface issues here. Let me see, what will I play you now? Oh, I love this one. This is one of my favourite ones. This is Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail.
And you know what? It also matters when he makes fun of people with disabilities. Calls women pigs.
Talking about Trump. What's she saying backwards?
And I'll scam you.
And I'll scam you. And I'll scam you.
Someone got it. And I'll scam you. I'll do it again.
And I'll scam you.
Okay,
and I'll scam you.
Got that?
And I'll scam you.
And we run the whole lot backwards.
Yeah, and I'll scam you, sir, and I am sorry.
And hear how that just jumps up out of the gibberish there. So, just an amazing, incredible phenomenon. Yes, sir. You know what? I was just about to play Trump just then. I must have said it backwards. Yeah, I have certainly done Trump. Trump's an interesting character. He's that's someone at my front door. Sorry about that. Trump. Where's Trump? Hang on. Yeah, all right. I'm not home. Stop. Sorry about that. Okay, Trump. All right, well, seeing we played Hillary Clinton saying, I'll scam you, it's only fair that we have Trump saying the same thing. So here's Trump.
If we could get jobs back, instead of having them going to India and having them go, Mexico.
And here he says, I could scam you.
What could scam you?
What could scam you? What could scam you?
And here he is
talking. If we could get jobs back, instead of having them going to India and having them go...
And here he is. Gee whiz, you think he'd stop ringing my front doorbell? God. Thank you. Gee whiz. It's probably Mormons or something. Okay, so some more on Trump. Here's Trump on the campaign trail. This is one of the reasons why he won. He was actually very congruent on the campaign trail.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And here he says, America, wake up.
America, wake up. America, wake up.
You hear that? And he was the only politician in all of the last election that used the word America in their reversals. And he used it time and time and time again. Here he is again on the campaign trail.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't notice Swedish people knocking down the World Trade Center. There certainly is. And I came out very strongly against the mosque being built virtually across the street.
And so did I. You and I were on the same page. Okay.
And here he says, America now.
Oh, now.
You got that? This is one of the reasons why he won, because his reversals were very pro-America. He must have used the word America time and time and time again. America's winning. Here's a great one that really shows the principle of what I call complementarity, with the forwards and the reverse relate to each other. This is Donald Trump talking about Hillary Clinton's emails.
The Democratic Party.
Oops, sorry. Okay, now we'll do it.
When he gave up that email thing, he said, "Here, Hillary." And you know what? That was orchestrated by the Democratic Party.
Okay, so he says Hillary and email, okay? And backwards, he says, Hillary, let's see this email.
Hillary, this is...
Hillary, this is...
So what are the odds of that? Of Hillary and email appearing in forwards and Hillary and email appearing in the reverse? And he's saying, Hillary, let's see this email, which is what all the big controversy was about back in the 2016 anyway. So I think it takes far greater faith to believe this is not real than it is. I have got 35 years of research backed up behind me to validate this. I have literally got hundreds of thousands of reversals, probably over 1 million on my desk, on my computer. Yes.
Have you analyzed any of the State of the Union speech yet, where he's telling some obvious lies? I think
Right. Yeah, no, I'm going to do that when I get back home. Yeah, no, I haven't. Well, I haven't had time because I've been here. So, but when I get home, I'll be doing the State of the Union. Yes. Yes, they do. Yeah. Yeah, there's about 50 words that I've documented so far that I call them constant reversals. They always say the same thing backwards. Relationship always says this is shallow. Emotion says show me. President says we deserve this. So the coincidental connections are really quite fascinating in and of themselves. I tell my students not to document coincidental reversals, okay, because what we call constant sounds, not to document them. So, so there's about 50, yes. Here's Trump talking about Obama.
Come on, we'll sign a couple of things.
Oh, not much, sorry. He just says, and he's a fucking asshole.
fucking asshole. fucking asshole. fucking asshole.
There we go. Funny one. Okay, let me play one more on Trump, and then we'll go a little bit deeper. Trump. Which one am I looking for? I am looking for, where is it? This one here. Okay, one of Trump's campaign promises was that he would build the border wall and Mexico would pay for it. Okay, so here he is talking about Mexico paying for the wall.
What's the difference? I want to get
the wall started. I don't want to wait a year and a half until I make my deal with Mexico. So, and we probably will have a deal sooner than that. And by the way, Mexico has been so nice.
And there he says they will not deal with us.
We will not deal with us. We will not deal with us.
Okay.
We will not deal with us.
Yes. I don't understand the question. Yes, yes. Oh, well, you're not aware you're saying it. No, it's automatically embedded backwards. Yeah. Right. Sometimes they can be thoughts that you're aware of having at the time, but many times they're unconscious thoughts that you are not aware of having. Yes. Oh, good question. Yeah, you'll get a lot more reversals and a lot clearer with someone under hypnosis. Reverse speech is coming from the right brain. Forward speech is left brain. Reverse speech is right. So the more right brain activity in your speech, like emotions or a casual conversation, you'll get a lot more reversals. Yeah, and hypnosis is incredibly clear. So, yes. I work with French. I only speak one language. I've had analysts work with French, Spanish and German. They're founded in both languages. I'm going to get on to metaphors in a second. They've found the metaphors are the same. We're finding the same metaphors in German, for example, as we're finding in English, which is really quite fascinating. So. Yes, it is. I know, that's fascinating. That's a whole lot of area of research is other languages, you know. We haven't done much. Well, we've got a whole lot more to do. Okay. Let me just play one other funny reversal, then I'm going to move into what I think is the real important thing of this. Where am I looking for? Oh, yeah. Okay. This is an evangelist preaching a sermon.
Great things for him, and I can do great things today. My friend, it just narrows itself down what he said to Simon Peter by the Sea of Galilee, lovest thou me?
And he says, my advice is rancid.
My advice is rancid. My advice is rancid. My advice is rancid.
Not someone you want to go to for counselling. Not in the least. Yes, sir.
Have you ever listened to any great speakers or spiritual leaders like, Martin Luther King Jr. or Gandhi?
Sure, Martin Luther King is wonderful reversals. Yeah, Martin Luther King, beautiful. Yeah, real powerful. Actually, I'll see if I can pull one up on him real quick. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking evangelists. Not all of them are bad, but a lot of them are. Where's my Martin Luther King reversals? Hang on 1 second. MLK. Here we go. Here's Martin Luther King.
To speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands.
And he says, the Lord, he does believe.
The Lord, he does believe. The Lord, he does believe.
Well, God believes in us. Okay? So, yeah, it's a nice positive message. So, yeah. Okay. So, applications of reverse speech. There are many, many applications. In point of fact, it's the question I get I'm most puzzled about is when people say to me, well, this is all very well and good, but what can you do with it? There are so many things you can do with it. I use it in therapy. I'm going to cover therapy a fair bit. But before I do that, I am going to briefly look at its applications in law enforcement. I work with the police department in Dallas for several months until I found a reversal on the interviewing offers that said last week I bought snow, and that's the last time they used me. So here's Patsy Ramsey, the mother of John Benet Ramsey, the little beauty queen who was murdered in 96. Okay, she's saying there's at least 2 people out there who knows who committed this crime.
We feel like there are at least 2 people on the face of this earth that know who did this. And that is the killer and someone that person may have confided in.
And she tells us who that person is. Okay? Listen carefully.
I'm that person.
I'm that person.
I'm that person.
I'm that person.
There you go. And here we have another one. Oops. Hang on 1 second. I've just lost it. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty damning reversal. And here she is commenting on reports they got that it was someone in the family or someone in the family who did it. And she says, I don't think I've met anyone who could be this vicious.
I can't believe that we have ever knowingly met anyone that can be this vicious.
Backwards, she tells us who is that vicious. Listen carefully.
I'm the only one.
I'm the only one. I'm the only one.
I'm the only one. Okay? And how did she kill how did she kill John Benet?
Your Honor, it was the day after Christmas, and we were going to go visiting.
I struck her head.
That was next percent.
You got that? So, law enforcement, amazing applications. One case I worked on in the Australian police, they were looking for a murder weapon. Reversal said it was hidden in the cellar of the house. They got a search warrant and found it in the cellar of the house, exactly where the reversal said it would be. Here's Scott Peterson, who currently sitting on death row in California for murdering his wife. Here he is before the trial being asked, did you murder your wife?
Did you murder your wife? No. I hit hard.
Backwards he says, neck, I hit hard.
Neck, I hit hard. Neck, I hit hard.
When they found her body, she was decapitated, and they never found the head. So as he's denying the crime in his mind, he flashes back and remembers, neck, I hit hard. Amazing, incredibly powerful technology. All right, let's look at it in therapy. We're going to change tactics here. I use reverse speech mainly in the therapeutic context. It's probably 90% of my income is in my therapeutic practice. I work over the phone. Most of my clients are in the United States. And reverse speech will tell us some amazing things about ourselves. I'll start off with this one. One of the things reverse speech tells me in therapy is that we all create our own problems. We create our own reality. The more you blame other people for it and don't take responsibility, the more problems you're going to have. Here's a young man talking about his relationship. Where do you see the future of you and Sarah?
I think that that's something that changes a lot, but it's also, I think, become somewhat of a day-to-day thing with us.
And here he says, but I must muck it.
But I must muck it. But I must muck it.
You got that?
But I must muck it.
In other words, I must mess it up.
Where do you see the future of you and Sarah?
Sorry, I don't know why this is playing all the time again. Yes, sir. Very important. Yeah. We have our own software that we've developed sells. It's Reverse Speech Pro. It's totally designed for reverse speech. Yeah.
I know sometimes you do like pitch modification, like a pitch modification of the voices.
Oh, I'm slowing it down. Yeah, I'm slowing the speed down to make it easier to hear. Yeah. So, was there a question back there? No. Okay. Here's a very controversial reversal. This is a woman who. This is an Australian woman who was in a very abusive relationship.
And I was just really surprised where that came from, and that I even allowed him to even get back into my head like that. I was shocked.
Okay, I was shocked that I allowed him to get back into my head. But backwards, she says, make him abuse me.
Make him abuse me. Make him abuse me.
You hear that?
Make him abuse me.
She was obviously denied that reversal. There's no way I make him abuse me. But reverse speech says that we create our own reality. Everything that happens to us is because at some level we want it to happen. Let me play you another one that gives a similar example to that. Yeah, here's one here. Okay.
Fear of doing it on my own, although there's another part of me that likes to do it on my own.
And here she says, I am wanting new grief.
Oh, I am wanting good grief.
Oh, I am wanting good grief. Oh, I am wanting good grief.
So why would anyone want to have grief in their life? At some stage, this woman has got a lesson, probably back in childhood. I find that 80% of all my clients' issues go back to childhood. It's so important. I mean, our childhood is just absolutely crucial. Some of it comes from childhood. Some of it is passed down from generation to generation. Reverse speech calls them curses. And many times I am doing work in MetaWalk, which I'll display in a sec. Here's another one. Yeah, look at this one.
Have you heard of Zero Limits, the book on Zero Limits? Oh, it's supposed to be a real good healing book.
This one says, send the worries, love.
Send the worries, love. Send the worries, love. Send the worries, love.
I'd say that's probably one of, so he's looking for worries. I'd say that's probably been one of, well, there's been many revelations I made working in therapy, but one of the biggest ones is that we create our own world. Is that the world in which you live is because we have created it that way. If you're in poverty, it's because at some level you've created it. If you have a series of bad relationships, it's because you're creating it. And so a lot of the work I do with clients is to unravel those patterns that they have built up over the years, you know. I actually love working with clients. It's such a rewarding thing to see all these clients change. Here's a woman who's we'll start to get into metaphors a little bit. Here's a woman who's talking about making money.
It's going to kick off quickly. We'll have some bugs to work out, but then after that, it's going to really catapult.
Okay, so she's talking about her business is going to really catapult, but backwards she says, I go with slum.
I go with slum. I go with slum. I go with slum.
Do you all hear that? Slum, S-L-U-M, as in the slums of the city. So I'll do it again.
I go with slum.
You hear that now?
I go with slum. I go with slum.
Okay, slum is a common metaphor in reverse speech. It's for poverty, lack of success. Okay? So while she's saying this business is going to be a great success, the reversals come out and says exactly the opposite. Okay? And I can see all of these things in reverse speech. Yes? Oh, very good question. Very good question. Oh, I do a lot of work with clients on spiritual issues. I'd say probably 40% of my clients are for spiritual issues. You really got to find out what the block is, what's holding you back from it. That's the first thing. There's always something, and it's usually a negative emotion. It's anger, jealousy, grief, whatever. But it varies from person to person. Everyone's different. And I'm often asked for common metaphors I can give, and I can't because everyone's different. The only way I know of is to record yourself and see what you find and run it in reverse, you know. And if you are really interested in this, come to my booth afterwards and we'll sign you up and you can take session work and change your whole life. Reverse speech will many times pinpoint the precise event or series of events that cause the problem. Here's a woman who had a series of broken relationships, and she's talking about them.
I even marked it on the calendar when it shifted. It was the night that it happened. My friend Cheryl was just telling me about how, you know, what we believe, we then create, and it just shifted, and that's when I just...
And here she says, I've been molested.
I've been molested.
I've been molested. I've been molested.
She hadn't told anyone. She broke down in tears when I played her the reversal. She'd been molested constantly and frequently by her brother for many, many years. Hadn't told anyone. She wasn't going to tell me either. And reverse speech was able to pinpoint the precise reason for her issues, which means that I can now work on a cure. And reverse speech will do this many times, pinpoint the precise reasons for an issue. For example, here's a woman who I'm asking her, can you think of an event that caused this? And she says, no, I can't think of anything, David. So here we go.
So there's no cause or event in your life you can say this is what's causing that, or thoughts that run through your mind.
I don't have a specific pattern of thought, David, behind that. It's more a feeling, and a visual image of it. I don't quite get a relevance or a connection with, you know, when I was whatever age this happened and about thoughts.
Okay, so she's saying, I can't think of an event, but we've got a reversal that said the bad orphan.
About thoughts.
About thoughts. About thoughts.
You hear that? I played that to her and she goes, oh my God. Oh, it was like the lights went off. When she was 13, 14, anyway, early teens. Mum and Dad had a huge big fight. She walked into the room and broke up the fight. Dad got furious, put her and sent her out of the room. Next day, Dad dies of a heart attack. She blamed herself for her father's death for breaking up the fight with her mother, the bad orphan. I'm now an orphan and I'm a bad orphan. So even though she could not remember an event, the reversal pinpointed the exact event that caused the problem. And I see this, I'll get this every tape. It will pinpoint exactly what has caused the problem. And the amazing thing is, it will tell us the solutions. We'll get into that in a sec. Yes? Right. Okay. Let's move on to that right now. Okay. All right. I have developed an entire therapeutic process through reverse speech. It's taken me 20 years to develop it. It's been pretty well perfected for the last 10 years now. First of all, I will record my clients and find out what the problem is. We'll record for 30 minutes. I will then go and report the results back to the clients, and I then do another session where I ask the client, how do I fix it? What do I do to change it? And normally the answers will come in metaphor. Okay, for example, Here's one here. This is a this is the second session, which I call a pre-trance. Okay, so we've got the first session, which is talk about the problem. Second session goes over the results. Third session talks about the solutions. And the solutions come out in metaphor. So here's a man who had business problems, and this is the second session where I'm asking him, how do we fix this? And he's saying to me, well, maybe I should make some new pamphlets up.
I guess there's two things. I don't know how much information yet to put in a pamphlet and whether to have some information pack to send to them. There's two ways I could go. It depends what this looks like, whether that's sufficient or whether there's too much for that.
Okay, now the answer comes in metaphor. I'll play the metaphor, then I'll tell you what it all means. It says, see the whirlwind to shift this devil out.
See the whirlwind to shift this devil out.
See the whirlwind to shift this devil out.
You hear that one?
See the whirlwind to shift this devil out.
Okay, whirlwind. Okay, let me, I haven't even touched on metaphors yet. 70 to 80% of all the language in reverse speech is metaphor, using words like wolf, Lancelot, goddess, whirlwind, devil. A devil in reverse speech is negative, traumatic emotions, okay, that are holding you down. That's how I interpret devil. Whirlwind is our own aura or our own energy field. This reversal says, see the whirlwind to shift the devil out. I have developed a hypnotic technique which I call a meta-walk. It's a combination of two words, metaphor and walkabout. And the walkabout, of course, is the Australian Aboriginals' spiritual pilgrimage into the outback. And the meta-walk is a spiritual journey through the metaphors of the unconscious. So with this man here, I would have him see a devil in a room or in a field and literally have a whirlwind come along and take that away. See, healing the unconscious is not done in English, it's done in metaphor. The unconscious thinks in metaphor, it thinks in pictures. You can talk till you're blue in the face and you're never going to change it without changing the metaphors. So it's the metaphors that I work with. Let me find a diagnosis. Let me find a metaphor that's a bad one, and then we'll look at the solution. Metaphor. Where are we? Okay. I'm trying to find a bad one. I've got all good ones here. This is no good. Well, I'll be bothered. Gee, I better go and get some more negative metaphors in my thing here. Okay, here's one here. All right.
Maybe do you feel that you're meant to be, financially stable, or that you should be walking a different path?
Okay, this is a client. This is one of my students talking to a client who's had money problems. And the reversal says, Eve is damaged, then I feed your Eden.
Eve is damaged, then I feed your Eden. Eve is damaged, then I feed your Eden.
Do you hear that?
Eve is damaged, then I feed your Eden.
Am I getting too over the top here? Am I getting too deep? No? Okay. So this is telling me that the metaphor Eve, which is a very common metaphor, is damaged, okay? And Eden needs to be fed, probably watered, nurtured. So in a meta walk, I would take the person to the Garden of Eden. It's a very common metaphorical image. I do that, and most of my journeys will at some stage end up in the Garden of Eden. I'll take them to the Garden of Eden. I will have her see Eve. Eve will probably be sick, and other reversals will tell me how to fix Eve. It may say, wash her in the river of life, or feed her herbs. And so the way I'm affecting change is with metaphor. Okay, here's another one here.
I was just visualizing the whirlwind, visualizing the wolf like we used to do, because we've done it before.
Absolutely.
And it just started bringing that power and that life force. And yesterday I was feeling absolutely fantastic,
Now this one says, see yourself full with love, give me whirlwind.
See yourself full with love, give me whirlwind. See yourself full with love, give me whirlwind.
Do you hear that?
See yourself full with love, give me whirlwind.
So in a meta walk, I would have this person see himself full of love, which is a soft blue glow, and have a whirlwind surround him. Now here is a one that shows a dysfunctional metaphor. As soon as I can find it. It is this one here. Here we go. This is me, and this is a client who had just suffered a nervous breakdown. He was a salesman, and he could no longer sell.
You strike me as a very enthusiastic guy. I mean, certainly the time we've been together, and you've got all full of ideas. Is this latest? Is this just a latest idea? Is it just all froth and barble, or do you really want to get out? And do you really want to get?
And this one says, see the wolf fallen in the lake.
See the wolf fallen in the lake.
See the wolf fallen in the lake. See the wolf fallen in the lake.
Okay, so wolf is a metaphor for motivation. Very common metaphor. I'll hear it practically every tape I do. Lake is emotions. So he can no longer motivate himself because he's fallen in a lake or drowning in his own emotions. He suffered a nervous breakdown. So what do we do with this guy? We could send him to Tony Robbins, although I wouldn't advise that because I've done Tony Robbins reversals. Or we could do a meta walk, which is have him picture a wolf in a lake and literally take the wolf out of the lake. And as you change the picture, you're changing the behavior that the picture represents. Does that make sense? Say? Exactly. I would say it's the second biggest discovery I made with reverse speech. The first big discovery was reverse speech itself. The second discovery is how the human mind orchestrates behavior and personality. And it does it through a complex metaphorical strong construct. I've written a metaphor dictionary. A copy of it's on my booth. It has over 1,000 metaphors in it now. I'm sure there's a lot more than that. I'll find more and more as I go on. So once I've done, so the first session will record for 30 minutes. We go over the results. I then ask the client, how do we change this pattern? I'll get reversals like see the whirlwind to shift this devil out. I then do 2 meta walks or guide or the hypnosis journeys. They are amazing. One of the things that most clients experience is what I call pre-vision. Many clients will see the images before I suggest them. I've had some people who've actually dreamt the meta walk the week before I've given it to them, which is really quite stunning. But when you think about it, if I've documented the rehearsals correctly, then all I'm doing is feeding back to them what they've told me. So pre-vision makes sense, the way I see it. Okay. So we do first session, reporting results, second session, third session where I ask them how to fix it. I do 2 meta walks a week apart, and then I do what's called a post-trance tape. And that's the third recording where I ask my client what changes have taken place. How are you feeling now? And so the whole process is self-regulating and self-monitoring, because it's not me who's telling you what the problem is. It's your own reversals telling you what the problem is. It's not me diagnosing the problem or working out how to fix it. It's your own reversals telling you how to fix it. And here we have a couple of people after the meta walks, okay? So here's the first one.
I don't know. I guess maybe in my mind, where I'm looking at, because I haven't seen the results of it, I'm thinking, it's sort of like taking a chance.
And this one says, I have potential now.
I have it as the male. I have it as the male.
You hear that?
I have it as the male.
So that tells me that the what we have done has indeed worked. Here we have another great one.
With the feedback from the reversals that I've done with it, it's for me it's not hard anymore. It's really lovely.
And backwards she says, Spirit and the Goddess will serve her.
Spirit and the Goddess will serve her.
Spirit and the Goddess will serve her.
You hear that one?
Spirit and the Goddess will serve her.
And let me play a couple more. Oh, here's a good one. Look at this one.
And they were interested in the theory. So I spent about a month or so preparing it for them so that they could understand it. And it was the MS Society of Southland, which is in New Zealand.
Oh, that's right. He's talking about his latest lecture. It's this man. And here he says, healing that wolf.
Healing that wolf. Healing that wolf.
Okay.
Healing that wolf.
Which means that his motivation is slowly coming back again. I have had success in the meta walks I have done with him. Let me see some more post-trance reversals then. We've got 20 minutes left. I'll get into the whole spiritual aspect, which I can't cover in 20 minutes, but we'll try. Yes. 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 Yeah. I've just finished working with a lady who had chronic migraine for 30 years. I mean, 2 or 3 times a day, and she's now migraine-free. She's so happy. She's bought shares in my company. So I'm working with a couple of cancer patients right now. However, I really can't sort of say too much about it. Let me just say that most of our physical issues have psychological causes for them. If you can find the psychological cause, then you can fix the physical issue. And I can't say any more than that, otherwise I'll get into trouble. But you can read between the lines, and yeah, okay. So, here's a great one.
Yeah. I also enjoyed the scene in the vineyard.
And here she says, living in the earth with joy.
Living in the earth with joy.
Living in the earth with joy. Living in the earth with joy.
So you can see we've had quite a dramatic effect with her in the meta walks. Okay, let's move on to what I think is probably the most exciting thing of all about reverse speech, and that is about the spiritual. Reverse speech at its deepest levels talks all about the soul, the state of our soul, whether it's healthy, happy, well, sick. I'm going to start off by playing a reversal on me. This was reversed on me when I was in a very, very, very bad time in my life. I just was chased out of the United States. That's a whole other story. We won't go into that. For those of you who know my history, you'll know about that. Yeah, it was very nasty. Yeah, and then my son died not long after that, and I was in a very bad way. So here I am talking to one of my analysts and trying to work out why I'm feeling so depressed. And I say, well, I'm very sensitive to energy. Maybe that's why.
Could be. Yeah, could be. Well, see, I'm very sensitive to energy. Ultra sensitive to energy.
Now listen to the emotion, this reversal. It says, my soul give the pain.
My soul give the pain.
My soul hidden with pain.
Hear the emotion.
My soul hidden with pain.
Reverse speech says that our soul is, what's the word I'm looking for? Not the engine, not the source. Our soul is the source of a lot of our emotional states. And a lot of what happens to us in our life is coming from the soul. The soul creates. The soul manifests. The soul is intricately involved in the whole process of creation and manifestation. And reverse speech itself is coming from the voice, well, actually not the soul, the spirit. Two separate things, the soul and the spirit. I've just written a book on the whole spiritual aspects of reverse speech. I have one copy left on my table, which describes the difference between the soul and the spirit. But here's me on a radio show talking about does reverse speech endorse any particular religion?
Sometimes people ask me, does reverse speech endorse any particular religion? And the answer to that is no. There are no deities or religions that reverse speech endorses or says this is right or this is wrong. It just talks about the soul and the endlessness of life. And that in itself is very powerful.
Indeed.
And here it says, it's the voice in heaven.
It's the voice in heaven.
It's the voice in heaven.
And again.
It's the voice in heaven.
Reverse speech says that heaven resides deep down inside. Reverse speech is coming from that deep well within, the spirit, heaven if you like. It's that magical voice that we all know exists. We all try to hear it all the time in meditation or prayer, or we go to spiritual masters and guides looking for this voice. Guess what? Here it is. It's called reverse speech. It is the voice of the soul. It taps into everything that you are and everything that you have the potential to be. I've got to tell you, I get very frustrated. I've been doing this for 35 years. It's an incredibly powerful, amazing technology. I believe in time it's going to change the whole planet. It means that mind is no longer private, but that's just the surface. The deepest thing is we can tap into the collective unconscious, tap into the infinite wisdom that resides in all of us. That's what reverse speech will do. Yes? Yes. Oh, yeah. Many times. Yeah, I've had a very long checkered history. I've got three arson house fires to testify to that in America. I've got several lawsuits to try to shut me down to testify to that. I've had lynch mobs outside my home. Look, that's why I left America. I had enough of it. I said, oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm going back home. Hey? Yeah, you don't need to reverse that. Yes, sir. Oh, I don't know. I've lost my train of thought too. That's okay. You had a question down there. Excuse me? Hello? Did you have a question? Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was so busy looking at the bird. You know, Mr. Oates, I found out about you when I was going to Hypnosis Motivational Institute.
Oh, yes, I lectured there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, well, they're running this man out. This is the government did that. I already knew it was them that did that.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt in my...
Like they don't want the truth told.
No.
And you revealed it.
Yeah.
You're a champion.
Oh, thank you.
And everybody is, you're one of the most incredible. If anybody was to get any
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I've just got to get back to America, I think. I've been away for 20 years I've been away. Yes. Oh, well, for a start, we know the CIA is using it. Just Google reverse speech CIA, and you'll see my book and my research on their website, which they released. I know the FBI is using it. I mean, I worked for the FBI during the Waco siege, analysing David Koresh. Sorry? Right. It's a very scary thought. Yeah. I don't know. I don't personally have any knowledge, but I have no doubt at all that they're using it. To what extent, I just don't know. I just don't know. One of my analysts, Kathleen Hawkins in Dallas, was working for the Dallas police, and the FBI rang her and forbade her to work for them and told her to stop doing reverse speech. Yeah. And when I worked for the FBI during the Waco siege, they rang me afterwards and said, we don't want you to go to the press. We would be very embarrassed if this came up in Congress and we hadn't followed through on it, because I wrote a detailed report about how to get him out based on his reversals. So, no, they wanted to kill him. Another story. Okay. Yes. That's okay. Oh, no, I do it all over the phone. Most of my clients are in America. Most of my clients are in America. Yeah, it works fine over the phone. Yeah, I've been doing it over the phone for 20 years. It works very well. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, some people do that. I personally don't do myself. I think that I'm going to have my own blocks. But yeah, look, I have people who do reverse on themselves all the time, finding answers to questions. Yes. So you can. Yes. That is the ultimate truth that reverse speech communicates. We are divine. We are God. We create, whether we like it or not. We are creating our world. Reverse speech is here to put us back so that we can see what we're creating and how we're creating and change it. So yes, that is the bottom line. That is exactly I couldn't have said it better myself. That's absolutely correct. Here's yes. Oh, yeah. I was doing, well, it's a bit difficult when I'm working over the phone to see those things, but when I had my practice in San Diego, we certainly did notice facial changes. What, you mean? Oh, okay. Yes, the answer to that is yes. Yeah, I've done some good work in reuniting families, actually, lost, broken relationships. So I know where that answer. But, yeah. Here's a great reversal. This shows a spirit talking. Every tape that I do for a client, I'll get a message from spirit to conscious mind. Here's one of them. This is a young man who had financial problems.
Does it further for us to put more energy and money and effort?
And backwards it says, "You're frightened, lean on me."
You're frightened, lean on me. You're frightened, lean on me.
And that's his spirit talking to him, saying, "Hey, I know you're frightened, I know you're upset, just lean on me, trust in me." And then you can get funny ones. Oh, yeah, I've got to play you this one. I love this one. If I can find it at the top of my head. Where are we? This is the spirit speaking to Hillary Clinton.
I have spent a very long time, my entire adult life, looking for ways to even the odds to help people have a chance to get ahead.
Backwards, it says, "Oh, be quiet."
Oh, be quiet. Oh, be quiet. Oh, be quiet.
I hope I haven't offended any Hillary fans in here, but I just think that's a very amusing reversal. Oh dear. All right, look, I've got 5 minutes left. I am really looking for students to do this. The only way this is going to change the world is if there's more than one person. And it's been my biggest disappointment in my 35 years of doing this that there's less than a dozen people in the world trained to do this. And of those dozen, only there's about 3 or 4 doing it full-time as their career. Reverse speech needs people. We need people very, very badly. If you are looking for a career, if you want to make a difference in the world, then please consider taking reverse speech training. My frustration level is very high that it's not getting out there more than what it has. And it's such an amazingly powerful technology. Those who are doing it are making a good living. I make a good living, and those who've gotten through the course also make good living. So there's a career opportunity, but it's not the career opportunity. It's the fact that you can change the world. I mean, sorry? There is some side effects. I can't deny that. I can't deny that. Yeah, anyway, so we're looking for... So anyway, look, come to my... I've still got 5 minutes left. We'll play a few more reversals. Come to my booth, booth 404. It's on the last row. Oh, gee. Yeah, off there somewhere. Yeah. Oh, no, that's just technology. That's just tech. That's, yeah, no, there's nothing. No, that's just technology changing. Now we've got now we've got software to do it. Or you can get an app. We've got our own, we've brought out an app for iPhone and Android, so you can. Yes, that's right. Yeah. You can do it on your phone. Yeah, just search the App Store, and you'll find my reversals. Here's the therapist you should go do business with. This is one of my trained practitioners who's now retired.
Will likely get reversals that are pretty clearly from your unconscious mind, your subconscious.
And this one says, "Soul serve you, make you feel love."
Soul serve you, make you feel love. Soul serve you, make you feel love.
Isn't that nice, eh?
Soul serve you, make you feel love.
Certainly better than my advice is rancid, isn't it? And Let me see if I can find a nice one to finish off with. What have I got here? Oh, God, there's so many. Here's one.
You know, how the role of passing it on to your kids from what you've learned, and you bring them up the best you can, but you've passed traits on to them, and that's what it was. But
right, well, that's
you can't
traditional. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you can't always blame.
And this is, our soul looks down in heaven.
Our soul looks down in heaven. Our soul looks down in heaven.
There you go.
Our soul looks down in heaven.
There we go. All right. Well, I'm out of time, everyone. Questions? Yes. Oh, thank you. Oh, my. Oh. Well, I remember Virgil Crane, Alphabotics, very well. Oh. Is he still alive? Did he? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Yes.
Do we have you heard, since your research, anything about the future? Do we have a future, John David Oates, because of climate change? Is there any difference, or are we doomed?
I have great belief in the potential of the human race. I think that we're going to make it, and we're just on the brink of a major, huge spiritual breakthrough. I think reverse speech is part of that. So. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Wow, thank you. I don't know what to say. Thank you.